Lave's Top 5 Modern Sci-Fi Classics. Hello Internet, my name's Lave, and this week I was contacted by Lee over at Weegie Movies, who asked me if I was interested in doing a collab with him and Stu from Stu Talks Movies. And yes, I was absolutely interested in doing a collab. I'm subscribed to both of these guys. If you like funny, informative film reviews, you should totally go and check their channels out. You can find them by clicking here or by clicking in the links in the description. I always find what they have to say on films old and new interesting and hilarious at times, so please go and check their channels out. So the idea for this collab is for each channel to present a top 5 list of our chosen genre or subject. Lee is going to do a top 5 comedy movies list, and Stu is going to do top 5 coming of age films. I've chosen to do top 5 sci-fi now. To really narrow down my list, I set myself some rules. I have to own the film and it has to be released within 10 years, hence Modern Sci-Fi Classics. And I still had trouble narrowing it down, so I have to do some honourable mentions because Sunshine isn't on my list, Gravity isn't on my list, Dawn, Rise of the Planet of the Apes isn't on my list, Predestination, which is quite a recent film which I think is underrated, Inception didn't make my list. I can't believe that. I might be regretting that. I'm sure there's others that I've missed, but let's get on with it. So here we go.
Number 5.
Transformers, I'm kidding, it's Moon. So Moon was released in 2009 and is directed by Duncan Jones and tells the story of a lonely astronaut called Sam who's working on the moon for a big corporate company harvesting helium-3 to rocket back to Earth to help power everything. Sam is played by Sam Rockwell and he's accompanied by a AI robot who's there to look after him called Gertie, voiced by Kevin Spacey. And he's coming to the end of his 3-year mission. He's got 3 weeks to go before he can get home to his wife and young daughter. And you can tell that this guy has been in isolation for quite a while. He's sort of having hallucinations, but he's powering through. But then one day he has an accident which leads to a significant discovery, which then makes him question his own sanity, his identity, and the motivations behind the company and the relationship that he has with Gertie. Oh, it's just a great sci-fi film. It's got a real old school feel to it. It's a real study of isolation and our urge to interact and connect with other humans, with a great central performance from Sam Rockwell. Everything about this film is just intelligent, from its concept to its script to the performance and its visuals, and it's even better when you find out that it's actually been made on a budget of about $5 million, which is absolutely nothing. It's incredible, and that's why it's my number 5.
Number 4.
Her. So Her is directed by Spike Jonze and was released in 2013 and is set in the not too distant future and follows a guy called Theodore who's just coming out of a really messy divorce with his wife. He cuts quite a lonely figure and he works for a company that produces letters on behalf of other people, and one day he decides to buy a new operating system which has artificial intelligence. So he quickly forms a bond with his new tech, which is voiced by Scarlett Johanssen, and then eventually they begin to start dating each other and fall in love, which sounds like a real gimmick, but trust me, it's not. It's handled really, really well. I don't want to go into too much more detail for spoilers, but I do love this film. I think it's a fantastic, quirky 21st century love story that's both bitter and sweet, funny and sad, with really good performances from Joaquin Pheonix, Scarlett Johansson, and others. It's a brilliant study on our relationships with technology, but ultimately with each other, and I love the fact that this future is so recognisable. Time will tell if this one holds up, but for now I definitely think that this is a modern sci-fi classic.
Number 3.
Ex Machina. So Ex Machina is written and directed by Alex Garland. Now, I'm a huge fan of his other work. He was the writer on Sunshine and 28 Days Later and Dread, and it's hard to believe that this was his directorial debut. It's a belter. Once again, this film is set in the not too distant future and tells the story of Caleb, played by Domhall Gleeson. He's an employee working for a Google, Facebook-like company, and he wins the opportunity to go out and meet the owner of the company, Nathan, played by Oscar Isaac. And when he arrives, he actually finds out that he's there to test out the artificial intelligence of this humanoid robot that Nathan has built called Ava, played by Alicia Vikander. From there, the film turns into a real psychological thriller as you begin to question the motivations of each character and the loyalties and where they lie. Every aspect of this film is just so slick. You can tell that this is something that Alex Garland has been working on for a long time. It's got great performances from all three leads, stunning visual effects, and once again, it's a film with a relatively small budget, and you would never guess it looks absolutely stunning. It's an absolute must-see and one of my favourite films.
Number 2.
Children of Men. So Children of Men was released in 2006 and is written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón. It's set in 2027 and London has been quarantined from the rest of the world because everything is just in utter chaos. It hints at multiple reasons why this might be, from nuclear war to famine and other reasons, but the biggest problem that society faces is that women have become infertile. So the film picks up with the death of the youngest person in the world. He gets killed, he's only 18 years old, and it's sort of a celebrity, so it's big news that this guy has been killed. We then catch up with a character called Theo, played by Clive Owen, as he's tracked down by his ex-wife who's working for a rebel organisation who are guarding a close secret. And that secret is a pregnant woman, the first pregnant woman in 18 years, and she's hoping that her ex-husband will help protect her and deliver her to a safe haven. Now, I totally feel that gritty realism are words that are overused when describing films these days, but it absolutely applies for this film. It's such a fantastic, gripping road movie of sorts, but it's also a technical achievement as well as being a fantastic story. You can really see the seeds being sowed for Gravity. There's loads of unedited shots which follow characters in and out of the most crazy situations. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, I love this film, and I didn't like Clive Owen as an actor before this film, but after this I've changed my mind. It's brilliant. Which brings me up to
Number 1.
Under the Skin. So Under the Skin is directed by Jonathan Glazer and was released in 2013 and stars Scarlett Johansson as a female alien entity that's prowling the streets of Scotland looking for male victims to seduce and ultimately take to their deaths. Oh, yeah, it's not pleasant for her victims, and that's not a spoiler, but yeah. Now, I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to give away spoilers, and I also don't want to ruin your experience. And that's what I will say, that this film is an experience, one that will get under your skin. That's what it did for me anyway, and it's supposed to. And if you think that the film sounds like Spacey, then you're kind of right, but not at all. Imagine if it was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and that's what this film is. It's whoa. If I had to sum it up in one word, I would say that it's sublime. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because I actually wrote a bit about the sublime in my dissertation at uni. I talked about a guy called Edmund Burke, who was an 18th century political theorist. Now, he was the first to talk about the sublime and its links with beauty, and I think whenever we use it today, we say that something is sublime, we think we're calling it beautiful. But really, when we're saying that we find something sublime, we're saying that it's awe-inspiring, and it can be quite terrifying as well. He used the universe as an analogy of that, so the universe is vast and seemingly infinite, which is awe-inspiring but quite terrifying at the same time. And that's how I feel about this film. It really got to me. Not only has it got arguably Scarlett Johansson's best performance ever, the cinematography is fantastic, the story is fantastic and believable, which just makes it even scarier. And I really like the fact that they just set up a load of cameras and sent Scarlett Johansson off and filmed her interacting with real people. It just makes it so real, and ooh. And I haven't even mentioned the soundtrack as well. If you watch this on a decent TV with a decent sound system, crank up the sound, it's so eerie and creepy. It's perfect for the film. So that's my list of what I consider to be 5 modern sci-fi classics. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Are there anything that I've missed out? Let me know in the comments. And of course, don't forget to go and check out Lee's top 5 comedy films and Stu's top 5 coming of age films. And please, if you like this video, give it a like and don't forget to share the Lave. I should have put Inception on this list, top 6. Subscribe.